Dr. Rosie Phillips Davis is the president of the American Psychological Association, a former vice president of student affairs at the University of Memphis. Dr. Phillips Davis has been a strong advocate for the empowerment of psychologists, the transformation of our association, and Rosie, you are a brilliant and impassioned leader who is leading the fight to end youth poverty. Thank you so much, Dr. Rosie Phillips Davis.
See, why would they do that to me? Well, thank you. Yeah, I am a pro at saying I don't know what's going on. Okay, so first I want to thank you for your generosity in your city, whether you were at the convention or not. The welcome that we all have felt to Chicago has been tremendous. Thank you, Laura, and all of your friends. And thank you for all of you who are in here who are not from Chicago, who just helped make us feel good about the convention. You brought so much, and we're glad about that. For prescribing things, I just had a couple of little things that I wanted to say. First of all, I want to thank those of you who are doing prescribing, and those of you who are in the pipeline, and those of you who are considering it. Because actually, when you think about prescribing and working with your clients or patients, it actually changes the way you work with them, doesn't it? It adds another layer of complexity. You've now got to begin to think about how does the medication change what I'm doing with my patients? How do I have to think about what the interaction effects are going to be, and what's part of what they originally brought in, and what's part of what's going on now? So you have to really, really think about what you're doing differently. I know that they will cover that in the materials that you will study, but it's very different when it's in the office and you're sitting there working with your patients. So I thank you for that. Another thing I thought about, you will have some increased costs, not only for your training, but for after. If you get a DEA license, you've got to continue to do some training for that. So I thank you for being willing to continue to do that and bear that kind of cost and expense. Someone told me that when you get prescription privileges, that you're just going to be more well-respected. Well, I like to think I'm going to be well-respected, whether I have it or not. But if you do, well, good for you. I will say this, that it is important to think about, as we move toward telehealth, what does that mean with prescribing privileges? What are you going to do in the fight for reciprocity? So you still got a lot of work to do there. We get prescription privileges in a state here and a state there. We've got to get it all over, and we've got to remember to keep these things in our forefront so that we take them along with us. And then finally, because you're increasing access to health care, that's what we say, one of the things that I want you to remember is to see poor people. Psychologists do not see poor people except as pro bono unless you're working for an agency. So I hope that as we're increasing access, that you remember that we want all socioeconomic statuses to have access to health care. So keep doing that. Thank you so much.